Hi everyone! Happy New Year! I know it's officially 2023, and to be very honest, it feels like it was just 2022 an hour ago. I mean, like, a new year means a lot of new opportunities. For starters, it's a chance to find a better job, build better relationships, and honestly, come up with a better reading goal. In 2022, I had originally set a reading goal of 24 books, brought that list down to 12, and still managed to not hit it. But not being the type of person to wallow in over missed goals, I picked myself up again and decided to try to read 12 books again for this year. So that means like more videos and extra hard work for myself and probably a lot more discipline. So you know what that means. I'm gonna kick off the year right with another book review, of course, and it's none other than The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. So, according to an article by the New York Times Online, Mr. Michaelides was actually inspired by the queen of mystery and thrillers herself and my personal favorite, Agatha Christie. The rest, they say, was history. So, to all my fellow bookworms, you probably know that The Silent Patient is one of the most popular psychological thriller books of modern literature. And for all those that don't believe me for some reason, you can try to do a Google search of the words psychological thriller books, and this would come out on top of the list right next to that Lucy Foley novels that I have never read before. So the big question is it any good? So the narrator of our story is this man named Theo Farber. Theo happens to be a 42-year-old Londoner. He, at the very start of the story, sees an ad looking for a forensic psychotherapist. It's such a nightmare to say that when you have braces. In this well known hospital known as The Grove. The Grove happens to house Alicia Berenson, a 30 something woman who was admitted following the murder of her husband 6 years ago. And as you might have guessed, she is our eponymous silent patient. So the story just takes off from there. It basically follows Theo's journey to discover more about Alicia. He goes out of his way, often breaking the rules of patient doctor confidentiality. Now, disclaimer, I'm no psychotherapist, but I hardly doubt that an actual psychotherapist would go the lengths that Theo did in the book. On the surface, it does make it seem like it's his personal goal to let Alicia speak, but the story digs into more than that. On an alternate plot that supplements the whole story, we learn a bit about Theo. Now, take note, I want to highlight the word a bit here because this is one of the main issues that I actually have with the book. We learn that, small spoiler alert everyone, Theo's own life is a jumbled mess, like every narrator is from every psychological thriller books out there. He harbors secrets from his childhood. He also happens to have a cheating bitch of a wife. I know she was the worst character. Okay, now I won't dive deeper into that. If you have read the book, then you'll know that those two alternate plot lines eventually lead up to the big twist that got everyone buzzing over this book in the first place. On that note, let's talk about that twist without revealing too much, of course. Like any good psychological thriller story, like The Perfection, Gone Girl, and probably the most similar story we can compare to this book, you know what I'm talking about, Shutter Island, we get the big reveal towards the end. You know, that part where we realize that all is not as it seems. So, how did I find the twist in The Silent Patient? Let me tell you, I'm a bag of mixed emotions. I do feel like the book is overly long, like there are too many chapters and characters. I understand why the author in the first place chose to add that many characters to make it seem like a whodunit situation, but the cast was way too convoluted. I didn't really care about the others, and I didn't really feel like they contributed much to the story in the first place. Case in point, the staff in the Grove, you know, the hospital where Alicia was being confined in. There were so many characters that worked there that were either admitted there as well. And at the end, very end of the story, they didn't really contribute much. If you look at modern psychological thriller books like Gone Girl or, Paula Hawkins' Girl on the Train, you wouldn't see as many characters as you would in The Silent Patient. I feel like it could have been edited down so the reader gets a better build up towards the twist. But of course, this doesn't mean I was not shocked over the big plot twist. I think it was really well thought of and catches you by surprise. The plot twist comes a few pages, literally, before the ending anyway. So let's go ahead and talk about that ending. Okay, I know this is gonna start feeling like I'm ranting, but stay with me, please. I did feel like the ending was a bit abrupt. I almost had the feeling that the writer wanted to end it differently, but the editors had him switch it up a bit at the last minute. But please don't take my word for it. There's no confirmation about that, at least none that I can find on the internet. I guess maybe the writer or Alex Michaelides was going for an up for interpretation type of ending. I mean, it wasn't bad. I just feel like it just wrapped up so suddenly. I couldn't even take the time to catch my breath and all. Okay, now for our narrator Theo. I felt like his character wasn't too fleshed out. There was a lot of open-ended questions. Probably the main one that I had was how he managed to smuggle cigarettes into the grove. I don't know, I just felt like things were a little too convenient for him. He almost seemed a little one-dimensional, unfortunately. Whenever I think of troubled main characters, I like to think of Will Graham from the Hannibal series. Like, make the guy suffer. Let's see him struggle with his demons so we hate and love him at the same time. Now, the next part that I'm going to rate this book on is on his writing. Good writing, as we all know, is as important as a good plot. Michaelides, in every sense of the word, he's a great writer. Obviously, I do feel like he did pour his heart and passion into writing this book. I know I had a lot of comments about the plot, but if there's one thing that this whole book that keeps drawing that keeps reeling me in is the fact that the book is so passionately written, if that makes any sense. It feels like a movie, like a go to a theater movie. All jokes aside, it feels like a passion project. So I gotta respect that. The conversations in the book and the different point of views, they were never confusing or flat. And the way Alex Michaelides highlighted and interpreted the myth of Aclestis, which by the way is central to the plot, is just something I can't help but respect. Now, I don't know about everybody else, but I just love it when writers take inspiration from classic literature or mythology and mirror it in their own art. So there you have it. It's a solid 3/5 stars for me. If you follow me in Goodreads, I did place that rating over there. I still do recommend this book if you want to foray into the world of psychological thrillers. There are, however, books, in my opinion, that are more enjoyable from the genre, but this doesn't make The Silent Patient any less of a good read. So if you enjoyed my review, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to, of course. You can also follow me at Wonkerites on Instagram, where I do literature and lifestyle content. And also, if you want to, you can check out the next book on my TBR list by heading to Goodreads. I've linked that on the description below. See you next time!